Stats pop jabs, reach, who's king? Southpaw switch, lead hook, chimping. Scorecards, rematch, who got rock fast? All on the B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the B&D Podcast with your hosts, Base the Kid and Danny Glover. Apologies, we are a little bit later today. There was obviously some working situations that we had to work out, but as always, we are here, even if a little bit later than usually advertised. But hopefully, that anticipation is going to make you feel a bit better for the episode. Danny, how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm all right. Had to do a bit of overtime today, so sorry that it's my fault why the show got pushed back an hour. Other than that, my feet recovering from the weekend, long shifts in the old parks, but yeah, other than that, we're good. And
Good
yourself?
stuff. I'm well. I over the weekend I had a mad nasty bout of the runny nose. I don't know if it was to do with the heat or something was in the air, maybe like some dust allergies or something. But luckily that recovered pretty well from about Friday. I did Friday, Saturday, and then it kind of started to recover Sunday. So I was indoors for the majority of the time, watching the boxing where I could, watching some of the wrestling where I could, watching the football, which was a nice little, sort of a nice little break to the proceedings, with the exception of the people that actually ended up missing their penalties for Arsenal. But we'll talk about that off camera. But yeah, look, without that being said, it's almost 10 o'clock, so let's get into this week's proceedings. And I guess we got to start off really with the biggest fight of the weekend, the one that was the most talked about, the one that sort of had the most intrigue in it. And ultimately, I feel like the one that gave us quite an interesting view of where the landscape of the 130 division is going. So, Foster v Ford. Danny, what was your thoughts on the fight? Did the right person win, and what next?
Yes, I felt the right person won. As predicted last week, I wanted Ray Ford to win, but I just felt that Shaki Foster, with his style, he's more effective and he's overall the better fighter. We nearly never had a fight in the first round when Foster decided to throw Ford out of the ring. Obviously, then he ended up in a pike push-up position, got back to the ring, and then, it was a close fight up until round 8, very close. A lot of people had it even. You probably had it around either way, but after that, Ray Ford, for some reason, his engine went, and Shaki Foster started to take over. Ford had a good round 10, but round 11, Foster really put the heat on him and busted his nose and stuff like that. No one was really hurt to any serious degree or wobbled like that, but Shaki Foster really started putting the punches together, good combinations, and won a majority decision, but I didn't see a draw at all. But one of the cards was over wide. That was it, like 118, 110. That was a bit egregious. You can't give a man 2 rounds. I think it was more a 116, 112, or possibly a 117, 113, but more 116, 112 in my books. The right band won, and with the landscape, we saw Shakur Stevenson jump in the ring. My brother even said, Shakur looks a lot bigger than Foster, but I said you have to take into account Shakur he's probably wearing some thick sole shoes. He's well overweight, and Foster's in basically barefoot because those boxing boots are more or less flat-footed, so you can't read that much into it.
You done?
Yeah.
Oh, well. No, look, I don't disagree with much of what you said. I am very, very shocked that in that first round, I know it is just the first round, but that Oshaki Foster didn't at least get a point taken off There was barely even a warning by the ref, and I was surprised by that because I know that he never necessarily intended to throw him through the ropes. But once you launch someone, you don't have any control of what happens next. I guess it's a bit similar to the Montana Love situation with Steve Spott. Like, I don't think that his entire thought process at that particular time was dash him over, but he's pushed him at that point, and then it's like, well, you can't control if his body weight is badly distributed on top. Similar thing with Liam Cameron and Ben Whitaker, regardless of whether people think that Ben decided to throw himself over. Once you've pushed him over the rope, or pushed him like backwards, you haven't got a control there. So that should be there should be a reprimand at least. So the fact that there wasn't a point taken off, I thought was crazy. And
And
to be
even and the thing is, he actually brought them both together and told them both off, which I thought was quite
at
unfair.
the end of that, after the round, so basically he did that in their time when they're supposed to be going back to the corner to have their minute, and he didn't stop the clock or anything. Um, and it's funny because someone, I can't remember who it was. It might have been one of the commentary, or it may have been someone somewhere else. I heard someone say, "Oh, like," and um, they said that that Ford has to be able to get back in the ring of his own accord and within 20 seconds, otherwise he'd get counted out. And I was like, well, no, that only happens if you get punched out of the ring, not if you get thrown out. If you get thrown out, you get time to recover. I think it is still true that you're not allowed to like touch them or pick them up or help them into the ring. But in a situation like that, I don't know if that changes or not. But he definitely should have been allowed a moment to recover because the referee didn't even ask him, "Are you okay to continue?" Um, and to be honest, because of how it happened, I guess it was lucky the way that he kind of slid in a fairly slow manner after on that second trajectory. Because had he not have done that, and he had actually been at a bit more of velocity, he could have quite easily decided to ham that up or my shoulder or cracked a rib or my wrist the way I've fallen, I've hitting the ground, and it's hard to continue. And if he couldn't continue, that doesn't even go to a no contest. It has to be a disqualification because it was a foul. It was a deliberate foul. Whether it was intentional for the injury, it was still deliberate. So yeah, I feel like Oshaki Foster was definitely he was definitely fortunate in that aspect. But that being said, the fight itself, yeah, I had it 116, 112. There was an argument where I could have given it 115, 113 if I had have flipped the fifth round the opposite way. But I just felt that Oshaki sort of stuck with it. And to be honest, the first round was a very close round. Like that one, I was actually leaning towards Oshaki initially. Then I was like, wait, should I give it the other one? I was expecting points off, so I thought Ray would have got it, but it was one of those ones. It was highly competitive throughout the first seven to eight rounds. Actually, I'd say the first six it was highly competitive. 7, 8, 9 were very clear Oshaki Foster rounds where Ray started to. It's almost like the boxing wasn't working, but he thought he had the one punch power and was like, if I just catch him, then I'm gonna, then I'll sort of take it there. But then I think his team was like, look, you got to start stepping up that pace because he's starting to get a little tired, he's starting to get a little wary. And then the 10th round, he came out and he was on job. And while there was never any, it never looked like any danger of Oshaki getting like stopped or anything. He was definitely very wary and nervous about how that 10th round was going. He was eating quite a few punches, but then he was a champion. I said it. I think I said it last week, or I said it on one of my videos. Apologies if it wasn't on here, but I said that Oshaki's got a little bit of the Usyk about him because he manages to find a way, especially in those championship rounds, um, and he's got stamina for days. So congratulations to him. Um, Shout out to Ray Ford as well because online he said, you know what, wasn't my night, no excuses. I think he said did he say the better man lost or that I lost fair and square? No, excuse some of that, but he's like, but it's still F that, F that boy. He said, I'll be back. So, yeah, it'll be, I'm interested to see where they go from there. In terms of Shaq, he won't be facing Shakur. Um, Especially if Shakur ends up over Zufar. Um, Not because that's gonna mean anything ultimately, but he's got work that he still needs to do at 130. Shakur's not gonna come down to 135 for Shaq because Shaq's not a big enough name. And Shaq going up to 140 is going to give away too much of an advantage, even if you was to try and put a rehydration clause on it, which you could do, because Shakur's not even a big 140 himself, but he's already campaigned up there. It's one of those things where it just ends up not being enough money for Shakur. It's a lose-lose for him, even in victory. So there's no point really doing it unless both of you have dealt with everything else, and it's literally just a grudge match. And then again, you'd have to kind of meet in the middle for it to make sense. But then you meet in the middle for no belts, and then it's just a fight for nothing.
Mm.
Unless Raymond Murataya decides to vacate and move up, because he did say that he wanted to move up to 140. He was getting tight at 135. Then you could possibly have a vacant title on the line, but that's not really the done thing. It's not the way that we want it to go. But yeah, ultimately, it was a fun fight. I enjoyed it. It could have, there was times where it could have sparked into gear a bit more, but I just had a feeling, just their styles, they're not pure action guys. So it is cerebral, it's technical, but if you like the nuances and kind of what people do, it was a good fight. And Oshaki has mastered that straight punch at this point. He punches very, very long. And like most people try to arc punches, but he's quite good at driving them straight through the target, straight down the middle. And yeah, congratulations to him, commiserations to Savage, and again, I'm sure he will be back in the future.
Yeah. I think that Shakur has said on record that he can make 135. He said that he only did the 140 thing because obviously Tio, and even then he weighed 138 and Tio weighed 139. So he said he can still make 135 if necessary.
He can, but remember he got his belt taken, or he gave it the WBC, but he didn't. So he's not got a belt there to fight for anymore. So for him, it's like there's no point me going to 135 because what am I going down there for? There's like none of the champions are gonna fight me. Probably, I'm definitely not gonna go back for the WBC down there. So probably chance of becoming undisputed is out the window. And I think that's one of the reasons why he might be signing to Zuffa, because when it comes to the fact that now he's got the issues with the WBC, he knows that he'll never technically be able to be an undisputed champion because he won't fight for their belt again. So if you're not going to do that, and everyone kind of knows that you're one of the guys, you're one of the best, might as well just go to Zuffa and cash out. Not cash out in that sense, but just cash out money wise and just take fights for big money when you've kind of already proven that you're a special talent, whether you beat every single person in the division or not.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, I guess real quick, because I know that you was there, speak about Azim Claggett at the OVO in Wembley, and just how was your experience of just being there with sort of new school boxer and BBC.
Yes, first show at a BBC show for boxer. I will say the turnout was very poor. They shouldn't have done it in Wembley Arena. They should have took that to York Hall, and even then, I'm not even sure that would have been a ram jam. It was probably 800 to 1,000 people tops.
Really?
Yeah, loads of media didn't show up. I saw the names, but there was no IFL, no Boxes Social, no Stomping Ground. Even the media section, I was surprised at how many of them was more focused on watching the football on their laptops and their devices than actually watching the boxing. Yeah, hardly interviews was conducted by the media there. I did a couple. Yeah, and with the fight with the main event, Adam Azim, yeah, few uppercuts, a couple of hooks. Steve Claggett trying to apply the pressure, wasn't strong enough, wasn't big enough, too old. Easy work really for Adam. He needs to step up the competition really. I know he mentioned about Dalton Smith. I heard Shane McGuigan saying that it needs to be 50-50 and even this and that, but obviously you're not coming in with a belt, so you can't really demand that kind of stuff. I'll give a couple of shout outs. Well done to Joel Kadua for defending his English title. That was a good performance. Ergel Elizaj, good performance as well. Fran Hennessy got a first stoppage win there briefly, but yeah, other than that,
Second.
Was it a second? I don't
Yeah.
remember the first one.
The first one was on the debut.
Oh yeah. Where she did the fancy dancing. But other than that, yeah, it wasn't a good show like that.
Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't apply for the accreditation, and you know it's funny because uh, and I won't go into too much of it because again we've got a lot to get through. But Ben was talking, saying, "Oh, like it's you know it's perfect because you've got you got the Champions League, and then like it literally leads straight in." But the only way that the Champions League would have helped this is if the Champions League was being shown on BBC. From the Champions League was on TNT Sport, or it was like, basically either Sky or even if it was on ITV, that doesn't help you because that's taking eyes away from the platform. And then by the time it's finished, people are gonna forget that there's boxing on because it's not on the same channel. Or the people like some of the Arsenal supporters at that point, and now they're vexed because they just lost. They don't care about that boxing, especially not if it's not two, mega stars. So that whole thing, it's almost like every time. I don't know if the BBC are actually like trying to intentionally sabotage him the same way he claims that Sky was, because every time that they put on a show, they going up against a better show, whether that's boxing show or like football in this case, or like a premiere of something that's coming on, and they're just getting these mad slots, and they must be getting the time slots that the BBC can't fill, or they don't have their own programming to fill because they're afraid of maybe it being cannibalized by something else, because that's what it seems like at this point. I don't know if that's just me. Obviously I know you was there, but what do you think about that?
I've never thought of it like that, but it's somebody surely within the department, because the British Broadcasting channel, they surely would have had people on the inside to know sort of the schedule of other things that could possibly affect the numbers and the viewership. So why are they always going up against something which is a bigger force? It's not good scheduling. It's like what they used to do with our sort of programs like the Real McCoy and what was that other thing that we used to it used to be on BBC, but you used to have to watch it at like 2 a.m. when they used to have Set It Off and when Richard Blackwood and Gina Yasher used to do their comedy thing, but these mad graveyard shifts basically they're giving the Ben. So it's just like it's terrible, man. They need to something. Yeah, I could feel if Ben feels aggrieved after the contract's expired, that he feels slightly sabotaged with the rostering he's got. I can understand, but I will say also, I noticed Ben in the ring after the Adam Azim fight. He was doing this weird dancing. I'd never seen him, and he was doing a jig, and I was like, "What?"
I've seen him do it before.
What is he doing? But big up to Ben. He's still fighting on. But yeah, man, you got to start getting a bit more adventurous, and you got to start risking some of your stars, man. Because if you want the viewers to start tuning into your fights on BBC, you got to start putting your big boys in with some hard comp. If you want even guys to cross the street, I know we hate that word, but you need them on BBC. You need that viewership over there, because otherwise they're just all going to be on Sky Sports, DAZN or Paramount now.
Well, Sky Sports as well, because that's where MVP's at and Zufa. So.
Sorry, Sky Sports is not Paramount over here. So yeah, Sky Sports or DAZN. So if you want people to transfer over for one fight or something onto your show, you've got to start asking the BBC to start topping up your purse bid money, but you got to start getting some proper fights on your shows, man.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they have had a couple already. They just lost them. But
Yeah.
luckily for them, you had Fraser Clark and TK who were both their fighters, even though there was one that they wanted to win more than the other. But Callum Simpson and Troy Williamson, like, so at the minute, their flagship people, apart from Fran Hennessy and I guess Adam Azim, are taking L's at the moment. So I can see why maybe they are trying to either match them a bit softer or just trying to elongate the reigns as much as they can. But Adam Azim's fanfare to me has kind of fallen off a cliff over the last 12 to 15 months compared to where it was when they was doing the big comparisons at domestic level to Dalton Smith. And it's funny because I didn't even think we'd be talking about boxing for this long, but we've we've got into it now. It's crazy because at that time that actually seemed like more of an even match to me, or a match where, when I say even, I don't even mean in terms of skills. I just mean in terms of like their profiles, because you had Adam obviously, doing that fake European run with the EBU title, and then getting mandated for the British, and then the British getting mandated for the European, and then dropping the European, like, oh well, we don't want to go that route, and then not going the British. But that's when he had the most buzz and the most pop, and obviously Sky Sports was probably part of a factor of that. But since the whole move to the BBC and that whole issue there, I've barely heard anything about him. Like, even on like the YouTube videos and that stuff. I don't know if maybe that's because now that he's got married and stuff, people don't really feel like they don't care as much, or he's just working away in secret. But his profile's just gone off a cliff. The Scooby fight didn't really help. Obviously, the Gustavo Limos initial the fight being cancelled. The first one didn't necessarily help. When I think Azim got injured, and then Limos refused to do the rescheduled date when he was supposed to. Or was it that Limos got in? No, it was Adam who got injured. Then I think Limos, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm not doing the fight anymore." So yeah, it's just, boy, they're in problems. But if anything, if nothing else, maybe if Ben, he's doing a bit more of the talking now, so maybe the talking can be his way to sort of stay in, sort of in those spaces. But yeah, anyway, we got to move on for that one. We had Dimitri Bivol versus Michael Eifert. Bivol made his return to the ring after, what was it, about 15 months out, after back surgery, getting himself right again, mentally and physically. And to be totally honest, I was worried about, would he still have movement? Would he have dexterity? Would he be able to throw? Would he get twinges or anything like that? And if he had any issues, then Eifert could make it a bit more of a competitive fight. I never had any suspicions that he would win or even come close to winning, but I was, I was just wondering about what the, sort of what the movement would be like. Beevil looked the same as he did before the surgery to me. The only thing that would have been nice would have been for him to step on the gas a bit more, especially after dropping guy in the first round. Even though Eifert probably went into his shell a little bit after that. But yeah, I think Beevil, yeah, to me, he looks like he's still in his prime. He's probably got like another good 2 years of top class, like athleticism and top notch. So I want him to get back out as quickly as possible. Whether that's against Benavidez, whether that's against Beterbiev, whether that's against Callum Smith or anyone else that it may be, but just within the next couple months, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be back out again by the end of September, absolute latest, and then even try and sneak in another one in December like the Japanese do. Or early January, but I'd probably say December, maybe just before Christmas. Let him have some time off with the kids. But what was your thought on the fight? And I'm not even doing like breakdowns and stuff. It doesn't need it.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say big shout out to, is it RCC, the promotion?
Yeah.
That was the best canvas I've seen. Like, I really like the canvas. The production looked good. They obviously put a lot of money and effort into the production, the look of it, and it looked really good. I thought that Eifert would cause problems and would be a risk. with his style because he looked really impressive in previous fights, especially against Jean Pascal. But maybe in hindsight, I was overestimating or over praising how well he done, and not factoring to the fact that Bivol did like beat Pascal many years before Eifert did. Um, and Eifert is a good boxer, but a European sort of level, and Bivol is like just a 3.0 version of him. Dropped him in the first round with a check hook. Um, to me, people were saying they wanted him to step on the gas more, but to me, he looked more aggressive than usual. He was coming forward and putting the punches together like he was starting to dig shots in, especially around the mid to
Only
like.
from the 10th, I think. From the 10th onwards, I think he tried to get him out of there. But from before then, I think he was literally just doing what Beevil does.
Yeah, he was like from the mid. Well, for me, from the mid to late rounds, he was really putting them together and getting. He looked more aggressive than usual. Obviously, he's going to be more aggressive on Eifert than he is against Beterbiev. You've got to be a bit more defensively responsible there. Um, but yeah, his flowing, his footwork was good. The speed was good. That the shot selection was typical Bivol stuff. So it didn't look like he'd missed a beat and missed a step. Eifert was probably a bit disappointing. Was throwing but missing by a country mile. Um, Started to look a bit shook in there, like a bit gun shy to really start to apply pressure or even try to back up Bivol. Because if you are going to try and see if there was a twinge, is to sort of get Bivol to maybe lean back on the rope or something where he's got to sort of try and sway or something out of the way. But he didn't at any point have to do that. Anytime he did, he just jumped, it stepped in and out, and it was quite easy to read Eifert shots. So he just had a good time in there, got a much needed 12 rounds that he probably needed because he'd been out of the ring for 15 months. Um, and yeah, really, just good performance. And I look forward to the next one. I know that I saw a lot of news today that they they've got the Better Be free fight scheduled, same promotion. The Rush, they want to host it in Russia. And they
20
put
million apiece, I heard.
yeah, 20 million a piece. So, boy, oh boy, and it's more than Turkey was offering them. So sometimes it's worth the wait. Like Bisto Best. So yeah, good luck to both of them. I know Better Be has been out of the ring a long while. I would like to see him get a little sneaky one, just punch up a brother quickly, even because I don't think he's going to get that many rounds in knowing how he fights. But just a little something there, just so it's a bit, a level playing field, and they go into it on the trilogy, which we all want to see because there has to be a decider.
Oh yeah, they could do it on the Gassiev and Yoko card if you just get him literally as someone that you know that he'll bowl over in 2 rounds, but just to wrap the hands because he has been training. But just before we move off of that, do you know how many punches Michael Eifert landed in that entire fight?
The lowest in history, was it 12?
Yes.
Yeah, and
I don't think that's ever going to be beaten for a 12-round fight.
yeah, I know. And what was it? Two of them was in the second round or something like that.
Yeah, he never landed more than 3 in any round.
Yeah,
I think in was it the 6th or something? I think it said that he landed 3 or something in 1 round, and then yeah, the others it was like less than 1 per round from then onwards.
there was about 5 rounds he landed zero. By the way,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
that's
terrible.
that's damning. But also that shows you just how good Beevil is. But it also shows you how sometimes it's like Beevil is, even though he's up here, Eifert might be here, but because of the skill gap between them, it actually feels more like that, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
So yeah, just unfortunate, but I'm sure he waited 3 years for that opportunity. Let's see what he does for the rest of his career. Um, right, quickly moving over to the women, the MVP 03. Good card. I've still not been able to watch all of it in entirety because it was on Sky, so I didn't get the opportunity to record the show, and they haven't put any of the fights out in their entirety on the YouTube yet. So just really want to speak firstly, saying Amanda Serrano, Cheyenne Hansen, congratulations for equaling Christy Martin's 32 knockout record for the women's division, which is the current record. I'm not gonna say too much about the fight. I think Amanda was upset or she felt disrespected by Cheyenne because she decided to blow bubble gum in her face in the press in the weigh-in, and I think she was, she was pointing at her like, don't disrespect me, and and something as long as I don't take disrespect. But ultimately, Cheyenne Hansen, even though she may have been a quote unquote mandatory, sometimes we know that the mandatory contender isn't necessarily the person that deserves to fight, if that makes sense. And she was way out of her depth. Although, actually, I can't even say her. She did land a couple shots on Amanda because Amanda Serrano doesn't move her head, so she gets hit by every opponent. She just has the intention of knowing that she will take that shot and then she'll come back with 3, 4, or 5. And for the most part, it works. I was a little bit surprised though in the fact that yes, she got the stoppage, or it wasn't a knockout. Cheyenne was still throwing back. Yeah, she was kind of like tucking up and a bit panicked maybe because the shots were just raining in. But like she tried to throw back a couple times. I thought it was a premature stoppage, but then I found out it was actually like the corner sort of got up and was waving the towel. So I thought fair enough. But whether it was premature or not, it didn't matter because it was always going to be a case where like Amanda was going to get her stoppage, even if they had to manufacture and engineer it. But hoping that maybe the next fight, because she has said that this is her last year, but she's still looking to. Oh well, she says her last year, but she's looking for that record. She said that she said in the pros fight she'll carry on. Like, I want that record. Say I need to get it. If I don't get it in the next one, like we go again, kind of thing. And I know that she was also talking about after finishing her boxing career at the end of this year and then doing one more MMA fight because she wants to get back in the cage and she wants it to be against Gina Carano, who obviously just got tapped out by Ronda Rousey, which would be an interesting proposition, I suppose. But yeah, there was that one, and I'm just going to sort of combine that in with the Stephanie Hahn and Holly Holm 2, the rematch. I was trying to watch it I was watching it on the day, but I was half watching that and I was watching Ford, and that was a fight I was concentrated on. But watching it back, first couple rounds from what I saw, I felt like I saw Holly Holmes being victorious, but I started kind of dozing off, falling asleep. I was watching it on YouTube and I was like skipping, I was missing bits and I just wasn't really be able to focus. But what I saw of the fight, from what I saw, I thought that Holly Holmes won the fight. I'm not going to scream robbery or anything because I wasn't scoring it that well, but from what I did see, it looked like she was the more she was sort of the more aggressive, the more focused, the more busy in a lot of the rounds, especially the rounds where she was making Stephanie have to come to her. And also, according to the CompuBox stats, which don't necessarily mean all of that to begin with, but she landed something like 151 punches to Stephanie Hahn, who landed something like 90 throughout the fight. So yeah, while that doesn't guarantee that you win the fight, if a lot of people have been looking and saying that she was winning the majority of those rounds, those numbers would kind of indicate they may have a point. I don't know if you saw him, but what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't see the CompuBox, but yeah, it does bring a case for those who have been, upset, saying they felt that Holly Holmes should have won the fight. I've only managed to see this 3-minute and 30-second highlight of it because, as you said, the full thing is not on Sky Sports, and I don't have the Sky Sports package on my Sky. But from what I've been hearing and but the highlights I did see, Stephanie Hahn, who I did predict to win because of the first fight, where she kind of dominated. The first sort of few rounds, it seemed like she was landing a few pull counters. Holly Holmes made a late rally. The middle rounds, a lot of I would say that both of their defense wasn't that good. They were both eating shots like very flush in the face, but I can see why people felt that Holly Holmes won the fight, but I've got to wait to see this a much either a much longer highlight reel or the full fight to come out for me to give a proper fair assessment. So I can't actually say who I actually really thought won, but the highlights just shows sort of Han had the good first half, Holmes had the better second half. So really, I'll need to watch these middle sort of rounds, which they haven't really put in that 3 minutes to kind of gauge who got the better two thirds of the fight.
Okay.
And with
Right. Well,
Solana as well, sorry. Yeah, good
go on.
stoppage win. Just, yeah, sort of dealt with her, put her in the corner and just unloaded a lot of shots. I actually didn't know until the day after I finished interviewing Ergol Elizaj. I spoke to Nicholas Prempar and he was saying, because I said, oh, where's this Xavier Miller? And he was like, oh, he's out in Canada with the woman who was fighting Amanda Serrano. I was like, oh, that's why you like had her in like your stories and that. I didn't even know that they was training her. So yeah, it's Xavier Miller's fighter. So yeah, she got stopped, and I see that Alicia Baumgardner tried to do the whole kind call out, saying I know you're your next best opponent or whatever. But Amanda's been in an interview already, said she's not interested in that. She wants to just do her own little thing, have a little do her little run, do her run at super or featherweight, and get her stoppages, and then just as you said, bow out at the end of the year. She ain't into no more of these super fights. She's had her super fight trilogy, so she's done with all that. So Alicia's got to sort out, find out another major opponent. And I see Caroline Dubois did well in the post-fight presser. Really gentle and what do I call it? Very skillfully got Stephanie Han to agree to fight if she can't get the Katie Taylor fight, which she won't get. So yeah, she's got another fight, but that once again that was a bit of a neat one there, because I'd say Han is the weakest champion to unify against. But hey, when you're doing a round going the collection route, that probably is the best thing to do, and then you get a bit more leverage on the other champions when you are ready to go around for another unification.
Well, you know what? The thing is, you're saying that you could say Stephanie is the easiest of the champions. Obviously, there's two of them remaining, but on a situation like this, I would say I'm not too worried about it, or I wouldn't necessarily like criticize Caroline for this one for the simple fact they're both with the same promoter. It makes absolute sense to, if you like, you sometimes when they say, oh, like clean up your side of the street first, cool. If there was a fight on the other side and Elif was like a massive star and everyone knew her and it was like, look, she's definitely the best over here, you're the best over here, stop doing the shenanigans, that's one thing. But whereas Elif isn't that well known in that sense, and no one's saying that she's the best. They might say she's the most dangerous puncher, but no one's saying she's the best. You've got Han, who obviously you see that, they sold out in El Paso, Texas. They've got, from what I've heard, they're very big in the whole state of Texas, the Han family. So that's a big money, big market fight, and a fight that's very easy to do with minimal interference. You don't have to worry about someone having to cross over, someone, this side of the street, that side of the street, even though a lot of that's out of the way now. But yeah, there's no politics that have to get in the way. So I don't mind her going that route and, sort of taking that challenge and then cleaning up with a leaf afterwards, and then obviously however that plays out is however that plays out. And if we're going to be honest, after like Elif's last fight that she had, she doesn't hold the same luster and the same I guess intrigue and demand that she had when she knocked out Beatrice, because at that point everyone was like, no, that's who you have to face now if you talking big. But after the last fight, she kind of went quite down in the estimation, saying, "Oh, she's a great puncher, but other than that, like, what else has she got? She's got no." Everyone's like, she got no boxing skills whatsoever. So,
Mm.
it's one of them ones. So I wouldn't necessarily mind that. In terms of Stephanie Hahn, she probably won't get the Katie Taylor fight. I think it will be the what's her name, Florian Filu, who's like the IBF mandatory. They go the IBF route, and then she can go another undisputed in the final title fight at Croke Park. But Stephanie wouldn't be a bad shout, especially with there's the backstory how she beat Jennifer Hun, her sister, earlier on in her career. I can't remember if she stopped her, but she beat her. It's like, I'm sort of, let me get revenge, let me get get it back for the family in honor, so so you can play it up in that sense.
Yeah, like the
Um,
Klitschko's used to do.
yeah, the only thing is, I just don't think because Stephanie isn't a big enough name over here, especially in Ireland or whatever. It's probably one of those ones where we'd much rather just deal with like a small promoter who they're not going to make up too much drama. If it's an IBF or if they got the mandatory shot, then that's a straight purse bid thing. You know how much you're supposed to get from a fight like that. It's a lot cleaner. Whereas that Nikisa and Jake and Amanda are gonna they're gonna drive not a hard bargain, but they're gonna definitely demand what they think Stephanie's worth. Whereas the mandatory girl might take less, and considering how much Croke Park costs and how much that event itself will probably have to cost, they might
Yeah,
be looking to for the most financially sensible option for Katie. So
yeah,
I'm not saying that's right, but I can understand because sometimes the pockets you have to watch the shekels as
yeah.
men
It's
will
not
say.
even necessarily the venue; it's the logistics, which is the big cost. So yes, as you said, you got to be a bit more economical with the opponent choice and go for the lowest taker, which I understand. But if they do it, since it is going to be a last fight, um, I'll try to go to that. It's a quick what is that? What, a 40-minute plane ride to Dublin? I remember I went there years ago. As I keep saying, I boxed in Croke Park, uh, in one of the boardrooms. But yeah, I can say I did it. So yeah, man, I'd like to go
Yeah.
back there.
Well, yeah. If when it happens, I'll definitely check and see what flights are like. But all right. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing real quick. I'm trying to think. We got two things to really talk about before we do predictions. Do we talk about Zufa and obviously Jaya Patai, David Benavidez? What's kind of been going on there? Because that needs to be addressed. Or do we talk about Joshua and Prenga? And the press conference and everything surrounding that. Which way do you want to go first?
I think Joshua Prenger, as that was yesterday, and seems like a
Cool.
hot-ish topic, I guess.
All right. So first things first. What did you think of the press conference? Before you say it, I just want to say one thing that I was a little bit disappointed about. Obviously, most people don't know Christian Prenga. Like, I know the name from one time I was kind of scanning on BoxRec for some other things, and the name was there. I didn't really know him. Then obviously he got announced. I looked on there and the Joey DeWaco thing, but the fact that he's based in New Jersey, I thought that he could speak English like properly, not like most Albanians of that denomination like are able to, like a Haisar and the other guy that was
Florian
big over
Marcus.
here, and yeah, Florian Marku, who's now just sort of disappeared off the face of the earth. So the fact that he had to have the translator and all that stuff, that kind of immediately lost me in the press conference. But go on, carry on, sir.
Yeah, to live in America and not speak English is a bit strange. I don't know how you're gonna survive out there. It's just a bit, but it is what it is. Um, yeah, the press conference I couldn't attend as I was busy. Tried to get someone to go on my behalf. People had other arrangements, so yeah, I watched it. First of all, I see Anthony Joshua for once is not wearing any earbuds or earphones in an event, which was good to see. It seems like he's taking this a bit more seriously. No distractions, no other sort of outside stuff going, whatever, all that type of endorsement stuff. He seemed more serious. The face off, he's staring at him. He took off his glasses like Attila when he was facing off against Jean Claude Van Damme in AWOL. If any of you remember that film from back in the day, I see a bit of trash talking going on. I know Eastern Europeans are known to talk a bit of smack, which AJ was saying, he likes that. I want you to. I thought I wanted. What's it? I was thinking I want him to show me no respect. I want you to show
because
me
I
no.
won't be showing him any.
Yeah, so all that type of stuff. It leads to an interesting build up. Even though I feel the fight is going to go one way, AJ's going to knock him out. Um, but it seemed people were of interest. Simon Jordan had said that he feels that um, AJ's being like sort of deceitful and what do you call it? Oh, what's the? He used one fancy word, but it basically means you're being deceitful and also manipulative. Is a Machiavellian or whatever, some mad word he used.
Machiavellian.
Yeah, Machiavellian. He loves these mad words. So I don't know if AJ is being Machiavellian. Um, I don't think so. I just think he's just focused and wants to get this fight out of the way and then get onto Fury, who he's been sort of running down for how many years now. And I know Fury is meant to be, well, he is, he's sort of kind of the worst kept secret now. They're kind of announcing the fight. He's got AJ here. I saw say is Fury fighting Moses next because they were saying I need to fight Moses or Fabio Wardley. So I hope he's fighting that level and not some guy of the level of who they feel Prenger is. But so yeah, it's all building up to a big blockbuster. Even though Simon Jordan was playing down the fight and saying that even he said some mad thing. He said that everyone was talking about the nostalgia and that's what made the Ben Eubank fight one good. But I've seen better punch ups outside Witherspoons. I was like, oh, now you're being stupid. But it is what it is.
Yeah, look, I thought that in terms of how he came across in the press conference, I thought he came across well. He sounds. This is probably like the most. I don't want to say focused in the sense of like his career that he, because I don't think he's like I don't think it's a career thing, but in terms of his mind, his thought process, how he sees things, he seemed like everything that he said made sense. He did. There wasn't any like riddles that he had to kind of that he had to try and decipher, or any sort of half talking, or like I'm really happy to be here. I enjoy my opponent, and then in the next moment, but I've got to nail him to the ground, and like everything just seemed very like I know why I'm still here. Like things have happened, but this is the path. Like it's finally it's clear in my mind, and I've got a plan. Just even not overlooking this fight, but the fact that I've got this fight in my sights. I've got the Fury fight that's there. Like the world titles there. That everything is lining up, and I can see it, and that's what is giving me the inspiration now to to really go through it. So I kind of like that from him. Again, just the fact that it was everything just made sense, and he didn't have to really try and get out the go back and look at previous things for clues as to what this meant or what that meant. It just everything just seemed normal. So from that point of view, I thought it was good. He looked in very good spirits. He looked in quite good health. He said that he's not quite where he needs to be physically. He needs the rest of this camp to really get the body as it needs to be. So I guess we'll wait and see. The one thing I do know more than anything else is that I won't be watching it live. I'll be watching the replay, the repeat, or I'll be watching the highlights because that's not getting my money.
So you're
Yeah,
not doing a watch along.
nope.
Okay.
Even if the undercard is stacked, just for the sheer fact of that's what they're giving us, and they're charging people for it. Can't do it. I've got to stand on principle on at times. I didn't accept Fury Chisora 3, which is a better fight than this in theory and on paper. So I can't accept this. I can't pay for something that I can't justify, and I won't be. But that doesn't mean that I don't want him to do well. I want him to do the job. I want him to do it within 2 rounds, a la Francis Ngannou. If it anything up to five, I'd say fair enough because obviously don't know what Prenger might have a chin like granite. it might have to take a sustained beating to knock him down. He's a former kickboxer. We know how them man stay already. So, you might have to take 3, 4, 5 rounds to properly sort of destroy him. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Oh, well,
Um,
yeah, I think that's fair. What you're saying, you don't want to pay for this because you're not anti the fighter because I'm pretty sure that when it comes to the next fight, where it's AJ Fury, you'll be more than happy to pay because that is an ultimate tier package. Obviously, I have no choice. I've already been.
but that's not even going to be on the Ultimate Tier. That's on Netflix.
How is it? Oh,
Yeah,
oh my god! No, I'm saying the Pringer fight. I'm saying the Pringer fight. Obviously, I have no choice, so I
yeah,
can't even say I'm boycotting because they're already taking the money out regardless. So, yeah.
yeah. I hear it. It's not good, but yeah. But no, fair enough. Look, like I said, I hope he looks in good spirits, and I guess this whole Usyk link up, even just from a mental point of view, I think that it's more the mental thing than anything else. He's one of the most adaptable fighters you can get because I feel like he has an identity crisis. So because of that, he's willing to be told, no, you can't do that. You need to do this in order to be successful. And he's quite one of those people that just will try and do it, and he always looks a little different when he's with the new coaches. But I feel like these ones, even if it wasn't the style, which they already said, we're not trying to change his style. Like we want him to work on this thing, but it's more about it's just more about the mindset and and the concentration and working and training the mental more so than the physical. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Um, then yeah, so there. Okay, so that's that for my. Any more on there before we move on to last couple topics?
No, no, no.
No, we're good. All right. Well, actually, you know what? Just before we do move on to the last thing, we can't go through all the comments, people. We do kind of try and watch and take a quick look where we can. But I just want to shout out because we haven't actually shouted out the people tuning in for a while. So Star Fox, shout out to you. Karma Serene as well. Dan the Man, hardest working guy on Twitter X from SC15. Philip Answer, shout out to you. Skyline the editor. Ahija Selassie. Um, who else is in here? Ra Holcomb was in the building as well. Shout out to you, Ra. Veritas Ad Astra as well. Salute to you. Just joined in. Appreciate you. He's saying big up base to the live stream anyway. Nobody has money and they're still trying to fleece us, so don't feel bad taking care of your needs. No, I appreciate it. But it's not even about you guys in that sense. Like I would do it for you lot if you really wanted me to, but it's more the principle of I don't believe it should be a pay-per-view thing. So
Well,
just because of
well,
that.
as Star Fox said there, that was a good idea. So I think if you want it, you
Oh
can.
wait, don't say on the stream. Yeah, because you remember they have the yeah. Don't say on
Oh,
the stream.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah, but
yeah.
it's a smart idea. We may talk about that. I appreciate it. All right, now just before we get to predictions, ladies and gentlemen, this week has been a rather spicy one on the old Twitex, with the likes of David Benavidez, Jair Pataya, and Noel Mikhailian, who, for what they've looked like it has seen, Jair Pataya and Mikhailian were setting up a fight to take place sometime between August to September, supposedly. And David Benavidez and team, who said that they wouldn't fight Jair Pataya because there's no need to fight him. He doesn't offer anything. He doesn't have any belts or whatever. Like they're not going to fight for Zuffa title, and that's got to be something that happens down the line. The team petitioned the WBC in order to become the mandatory for Noel Mikhailian's fight, and the WBC have accepted the petition. To which point they have now ordered the fight between Benavidez and Mikhailian for the WBC belt, even though Benavidez holds belts at WBO and WBA. A move that has never been done in the male division before. It has been done in the women's division, but obviously, less fighters. The politics in women's boxing is a little bit different than in the male. So while it's not unprecedented, it's definitely not a usual factor. And this is also the first time that the WBC have ordered one of their champions to fight another champion, but then are threatening to strip that champion if they don't comply with the order. Because they have made mandates before, but they've never stripped anyone for it not going ahead. Um, Now, Danny, I want to get your takes on that part of the situation first before we get to the part that I'm gonna have to speak about.
Okay, so regarding this issue, um, it is very strange that the WBC are threatening to strip a fighter for not doing a unification, because I've never seen that in the rule book before. So that in itself is quite alarming. Um, it seems now the WBC, what they do, they align themselves and do a lot of favoritism treatment to who their star guy is, i.e., previously before with the David Benavidez and Canelo situation, I feel that they was shielding and helping out Canelo to skip away from actually fighting um, Benavidez. They never forced him to make to do the defense. They never forced him to or put thingy just go, yeah, straight, you're straight mandatory. This is what it is. This is, you got to fight him. But that's when Canelo was the face of boxing like that, and he was the main man. Now it seems Benavidez is now getting that more star power and more limelight. It's like they now shifted over, and obviously Benavidez is now really marketing himself as the Mexican guy. You know, before he was more Ecuadorian, so you know Mauricio ain't really gonna align with him like that. But now he's gone down the Mexican route, thanks to Mike Tyson. It seems he's now the golden child now. So now he's getting these preferential situations handed to him, i.e., um, basically crowbarring, because as you said, as the news says, that Norm Michelian and Jaya Pattaya was having secret talks, I imagine, with Zuffa, and I'm pretty sure they did a face-off, didn't they, before Jai's last fight? So that was already kind of set in stone. So it's not like, oh, all of a sudden Jai's trying to hijack it. No one can't say he's coming in there doing that, because it was already kind of set in stone. But now WBC are sort of strong arming, which they a man into a defense of another champion, which I do think's a bit, not a bit, I think he's very shady. But the fact with Benavidez deciding he doesn't want to fight Jaya Pattaya, is it disappointing? I can see why people would be disappointed. Me personally, yes, I would rather him fight him because that's the better fight, but I can understand the method to what he's possibly doing. He probably feels that right now, to get the maximum profit from this fight, if he grabs this WBC title, then he's got 3 belts, providing Jai, because Jai said he's still in the process of sort of, what do you call it, appealing to get his IBF back or get another shot at it, as we know he's managed to do it in the past. Providing Jai gets that, then we're in for an undisputed blockbuster, kind of like what we saw with your guy Terence Crawford versus my boy Errol Spence previously, in an undisputed. Or what I hope doesn't happen is that Jai gets frozen out from the IBF, and then some other guy, I know that Vidal Riley is in line for a shot versus the winner of the number 1 and number 2. I forgot who the guy's names was. And then it's like Benavidez fights any guy for that last one. That's not really the way I want to see a man get undisputed. I want to see him fight Jaya Pattaya. So yeah, get this next belt and then set up for the undisputed with Jai. Jai, get that IBF strap. Then you've got the IBF and Ring Magazine, and we've got the whole big blockbuster. I can see why a man is thinking, it doesn't need serious marination, but it's just a little bit more cooking and get it into a proper, big fight. So I know some people are talking about ducking this, ducking that. what I am a bit fearful of is that time is ticking for me, but but if he fights Jaya Pattaya and it is over the time, sometimes it might that might be worth just to say he's the real deal. It might be worth me having to cough up something if he doesn't make the timeline. But as we said, we could agree before, even if after he does fight Jaya Pattaya, and I have to cough up, as we know, at any point if he does drop back, then I get then I get the rerun, I get the refund and the reversal because he's gone back down because you said
That's true. We did agree that. We did agree that. Um, all right, so I'm gonna put the other stuff aside, right? Because I can go for just as long as you can in the debate regarding if he's ducked this person. Did he really want this fight? Did he not want this fight? I'm gonna keep it strictly to this situation. On one hand, yes, I can see like the power play and I can see the move of basically taking food off a next man's plate to make your plate fuller. And from a purely, I don't know, the thing is I only know the words to use from like a road setting, but I don't want to use those. I'm trying to from a pure S housery point of view, I respect it. Like from a petty, like almost like let's call it petty, like Petty Vides, yeah. From a David Petty Vides like point of view, it's an amazing tactic. Using your relationship with the WBC and the fact that the WBC obviously have an agenda against Zufar because Dana has been the most vocal about them than any of the other sanctioning bodies. So if you have the opportunity to to get one up on Zufar by preventing their flagship or their most recognized number one individual from being able to get further leverage by challenging for your belt, I can kind of see that. Um, the thing that I, but the thing that I don't respect in the situation, while obviously I said I can respect the maneuvering of doing that, but you said the thing that I have an issue with is Benavides. Number one, he was talking about Bivol, right? He said, he said he was going back to 175, but then he said, oh, well, what about catch weight for all the belts, the light heavyweights and the cruiserweights? It's like, well, no, because even if that happened, that would still have to be at 175. You could put all the belts on the line, but they still have to be at 175 for it to make sense. Because you can't fight for a belt over the weight cap. There's nothing in the clauses that allows you to do that. But he said that. Then he said, oh, but the 190, but I'll do 175 for Canelo if he wants that smoke. So we're still doing that one. But he said that Jaya Patai is like, he's fighting, in that apex or whatever, he's fighting in front of, a few hundred people, which is true. I'm not gonna lie. Like like he's not bringing anything to the table except a Zuffa belt. But that's not true as well because he keeps saying that, while not highlighting the fact he has the Ring Magazine belt and he's the lineal champion. You can't be the number one in that division unless you have the lineal status and the Ring Magazine belt. Well, actually, you might be able to be the number one without the lineal status because of how sometimes that can work out. But generally speaking, the lineal and the consensus are usually the same thing. You can't be number one without him. And you said, well, what, he's not bringing much to the table. Noel McCallion brings less to the table than Jaya Patel. Yes, he's got that WBC belt. That is true. But he has no status there. He is not a big draw in the States. Like, no one, if people don't know Jai, they definitely don't know McCallion either. So if you're looking at it from like a point of view of, you know, like a name recognition, both guys, you could say both guys are on an even playing field in that sense. So if that's the case, getting like going for McKalian, you're just taking yourself one step further away from this goal of going back down to quote unquote light heavyweight and beating the top guys down there, which you've claimed that's what you're going to do. So when I continuously talk about smoke and mirrors and the way that the man them have politicked throughout their career, it's just this whole situation here is a very enclosed capsule to that fact. And one thing I will say, I don't often give him credit. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, and I think recently he's become nothing but a company shill and a bit of a joke to me personally. But Max Kellerman said something on the Ring podcast, Inside the Ring. I watched it on the Zone earlier. He made a very valid point where he said, and because he believes wholeheartedly, like a lot of other people believe, that Canelo Duck Benavidez didn't want to face him, blah blah blah. But he's conceded that Canelo basically had all the leverage. Benavidez had barely any of it, but he's also said that Benavidez, it was ultimately your fault if you had, because they said, you know, Canelo said in the interview, if you had the belt, I would have faced you because I wanted undisputed, right? So there was that. But then he also said, if you're doing now to Jaya Pattaya what Canelo was doing to you, you can no longer use that and complain about the fact that you were ducked by Canelo for all those years. If you're going to go and do the exact same thing to someone else, you now can't use that as a complaint. He says, so if you want to do it, do your thing, but you now can't carry on talking about, oh, you never got the Canelo fight and he was scared to fight you, etc., because you're basically doing the exact same thing to someone who you don't even have as much leverage against as Canelo had against you in that time period. So yeah, that's what I will say to that. In terms of, you know, do I think he's ducking him at the moment? Yes, I do. I feel like there's been numerous times where they've been asked about that fight, even before Jaya Pattaya fought Brandon Glanton. It was mentioned, and straight after the Zerdo fight, you know, he put roadblocks and other things in the way of that potential fight when there was no actual roadblocks on Jaya's side in at that moment. Then obviously you do this whole thing now, and now you've got this whole belt situation. I mean, look, WBC are, you know, as they say, people say, we be crooks. They be doing shady stuff all the time. So I'm not ever surprised by anything they do. And yes, they are definitely trying to maintain and hold a relationship with David, maybe because they feel like David could be the guy to get them those big purses moving forward. Whereas they, you know, and it's funny because if it was, say, if Zerdo was the WBC cruiserweight champ instead of like Noel McKalian, I don't think that they would have been talking about, oh, like, yeah, we'll strip you if you don't face your mandatory from 175 moving up. I don't even think they would have done it with Badu Jack because they had a whole thing with Badu Jack, Noel McKalian, Ryan Rositsky, and Rositsky was always the one getting shafted, and Badu Jack was constantly getting the favors. So yeah, they're doing, you know, yes, okay, they might have the bylaw that they tried to swipe from the WBO when you become WBO super champion, that you can petition to fight above or below. But yeah, it's one of those ones whereby I think they said something about a 6-month process, and I can't bother to go into the whole thing on here. I said McKalian didn't defend the belt within 6 months for his voluntary, so they put the mandatory on him. And I guess technically you could say that Benavidez,
month though.
huh?
It ain't been 6 months. When he beat Badu Jack, that ain't 6 months ago.
I think it was.
When he beat Badu Jack,
Yeah, go check it while I carry on talking. You can let me know. I'm I'm pretty sure it was because remember we're in June now. They did this the last week of May. I'm pretty sure he beat Badu Jack in like October or something.
no, the rematch was raw. Oh no, it was December.
Was it December?
Yeah, December 13th.
Okay, so
It's coming. It's 6 months
maybe.
in the bot. In about 10 days, it'll be 6 months.
Well, actually, no, because it would have been May. Because remember, the December is not finished, so you go from that month from the 13th of December to the 13th of January, one, and then I think the 13th of May would class as six.
No, it's five. That's five. Because look, if we're December 13th, he's won it. January 13th, February 13th, March 13th, April 13th, May 13th, June. So he's got 11 days.
Okay.
Well, that's probably why they're trying forcing his hand basically.
Maybe. Because I know that he was. Mauricio was on a. He was actually on a show the other day. I saw it actually, and I was thinking about the whole 6 months thing because Benavidez obviously fought in November, and he just fought last week, but he hasn't defended his light heavyweight title within 6 months. So why is he not now having a mandatory slapped on him? So the whole thing just kind of is. You can tell it's favoritism. Like Canelo, I don't think had a. Was it Canelo that didn't have a mandatory? I don't think he had a WBC mandatory for about two and a bit years.
Oh, Charlo. Well, we saw that one. That was just
Yeah, Charlo had, it was like three years, and then they did the interim titles and whatnot. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it's too long to go into, and it's late at night. But ultimately, my point is, I feel the WBC are obviously being shafty and shady in this one, and Team Benavides are clearly taking advantage of the good relationship they have while using this to actively avoid someone to then try and say, well, yeah, you're saying that we ain't gonna fight him, but yo, he ain't got a belt. This is the WBC, like, and I'm gonna sort of go down that route. The only way that this whole thing, I guess, makes sense if you're gonna go through the Fury method, you have to take that belt if you beat Michaelian, and then there can't be anything else. Like, you have to literally go for the upper tier fight next. Like, you can't then say, "Oh, let me go sweep up the IBF from David Nika," or Vidal Riley. Like, no one's gonna be able to. You can
no,
do that as a lot at the last mission.
no.
That's the bonus round.
The vacant titles being contested between Floyd Mason versus David Nika, and Vidal Riley gets the winner.
Yeah. So I'm saying, so even that, like that whole, however that works out, you would have to say that has to be like the final. That has to be the the bonus round.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
'Cause
I'm the champion now, but just to get the rubber stamp the status, give me that belt afterwards. But you can't do it before.
yeah,
Um,
I ain't watching no fight. Well, I'm not watching, but I ain't hearing you're fighting Floyd Mason or David Nika
yeah,
after
or
McKay.
Vidal Riley.
Yeah, after this.
So
No, don't worry.
yeah. Look, he's putting pressure on himself. I feel personally, as I've said before, the veil is finally sort of starting to slip. A lot of people who were avid Benavides fans that I've seen have started to, maybe they still are very big fans, but they have started to notice certain patterns that they clearly don't like. Certain people are highlighting it. So yeah, look, with that, we'll have to see. We can't change it. We can complain, but at the moment, we just gotta see what happens, and I'm surprised that I'm being as diplomatic as I am with this situation, because normally, like, we'd be having a madness going back and forth here, but like I said, maybe it's because it's later in the night, I'm a bit more calm, a bit more zen. We may have to revisit this if more stuff comes out over the following week. There's stuff to talk about.
Yeah, no,
So
I think for one, thank you for not blowing your lid. But then two, maybe because we're waiting for more information and facts to come out because we haven't actually heard anything publicly from any of the fighters per se. It's just loads of reports going on, but I haven't actually seen verbal footage of David Benavidez, Jaya Pataya, or McKaylian saying anything. So once we get more information, then we can get into the old back and forths.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, we've got two cards. Well, actually, no, we've got cards from Thursday, but we can't talk about the Thursday stuff. There's some good stuff on, but unfortunately, what you guys will just have to sort of find that on your own. We've got Saturday. We've got Josh Padley versus Akib Fiaz main event in Sheffield. I feel like that arena is going to be super empty, to be honest, and it's not fault. They wasn't supposed to be the main event, but who have you got in that fight?
Um, that's for the European, ain't it?
Yeah,
I'm
and I
gonna
think it's an eliminator as well.
okay. Yeah, I think Josh Padley will win that on points. Um, Akif Fiaz last time out, he did look good. Um, I forgot the guy he fought. I remember it was me, you, and we did the breakdown on that. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Josh Padley on points on that one.
All right, Chev Clark and Jack Massey.
Chef Claudia, I feel yeah. No, I think if you're going by form um, and styles, oh, I'm gonna go with one smack Jack Massey on. No, I'm gonna go with him on points because Chev is tough. Even though Chev, yeah, no, yeah, I'm gonna go with Jack Massey on unanimous decision.
Okay, and then I guess Chris Billum Smith versus Ryan Rositsky.
Um, if Chris Billow Smith is still the same Chris Billow Smith, been out a while now since Latino Heat, um, then he should beat Rositsky because Rositsky he's a decent name, but when you look for his record is not as good as his name. And even though he's a younger man, um, I think Chris Miller Smith's pedigree, experience at world level, and fighting better opposition should pull him through. Um, and I think I'm going to go with a Chris Billum Smith. Yeah, I think he's going to go points, I was thinking maybe he might stop him, but nah. I think Chris Billum Smith's going to win on points.
Okay, actually, you know what? Let's go to Thursday just for your opinion on two fights, right? The first one, Albert Ramirez against Lerone Richards for the interim WBA light heavyweight title.
All right. Now, see, this you put me because Lerone, I've known him since a little kid, former ex Lin, and possibly a relative. We're still trying to work out. But if I'm going to be totally honest, I don't see anything less than an Albert Ramirez victory inside the distance. Albert is a very heavy-handed, big puncher. Knows how to cut the ring off. Lerone, as good as a technician he is, he doesn't seem to pack the power necessary for that upper echelon level. Even though that he did get that good win over Gongora years back, but that was years back. So yeah, I'm going with Albert Ramirez, TKO/KO.
I swear, Lerone Richards has to be arguably the worst handled career I've ever seen, especially for someone that was so highly prospected.
Yeah, a lot of wasted years, unfortunately.
Okay, so second one, same card, Imam Katayev versus Mikhail Diallo.
No, Imam Katayev will win that. For those of you who sometimes might not be familiar with him, he's the guy who, in my opinion, got robbed against David Morrell Jr. last time out. I thought he won the fight. He dropped him, and he was beating him up. So yeah, I'm going with a Katayev win.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there. There's a lot of good fights on over this weekend, to be fair. They're just unfortunately not in the most accessible places. Thursday will be that card, so you can tune into that. There's Japanese, I don't know if it's a full-blown Japanese card, but it's a lot of the lower weights. Masamichi Ibuki is one of the premier stars on it. For those of you who know your lower weight boxing, but we'll leave it there. Danny, got any last words you want to say before we close out?
Oh, well, there's what's it? Kenneth Lover versus Michael. Yeah, versus Angeletti. That's a good fight. Oh, that's a real tough one. This one. I'll quickly give a prediction. I'm going to go with Kenneth Lover on. I can't give you the method on that one, and then I believe John Real Casemiro will beat Luis Nery though.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. That will be the upset.
Nice. All right. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for sticking with us, tuning in. Again, we do appreciate it's later than normal. Probably our American viewers are happier with that, but the British ones have stayed up with us. We will be back to regular time next week, where we will be doing a special presentation of what we would like to see on a 7v7, and we'll be debating those fights as well, those fantasy matchups between Matchroom and Queensbury. So as there's not a huge amount of stuff going on for the rest of the week, that's what we'll be doing to sort of fill some time in the show. Might try and get someone else to sort of come in and either referee or join in the fun. But with that being said, enjoy the rest of your night. Get some rest. Hope everyone has a good day tomorrow. The weather's not going to be great, but make sure you stay as warm as you can, as dry as you can, and as safe as you can. But yeah, until then, peace.
Shot stacks, pop jabs, reach, who's king? Southpaw switch, lead hook, chin ping. Scorecards, rematch, who got rubbed fast? All on the B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast.